All right, guys, so the very first question that we get all the time from pretty much anybody that's looking to walk onto a college team and from any student athlete in general is, am I eligible to play at the next level? So to answer this question, I need to detail out a few things about eligibility. I'm gonna try and cast a net over all the situations and give you guys the guidelines so you can apply them to your current situation and judge whether you're eligible or not. And then I'm gonna give you guys a quick 3-step action item to basically go into the NCAA clearinghouse yourself and ultimately check your eligibility and apply and make sure you're eligible. So the first thing I wanna do is dispel myths about eligibility in general. A lot of people think that there's potentially an age limit, age requirement. A lot of people that go in the military or maybe didn't go into college right out of high school are worried that they're not eligible. So the way eligibility works is essentially you have 5 years to play 4 seasons in college of college football once you start your eligibility clock. So what starts your eligibility clock is being enrolled full-time as a student in a university. So essentially, if you were to go to Ohio State and you enroll in Ohio State, enrolling as a full-time student means that you're taking 12 credit hours or more. So if you started maybe at a different school or you just decided to go to a community college and you only took maybe 5 or 6 credit hours in the first semester, technically your eligibility clock hasn't started yet. But the second you elect to take 12 credit hours and become a full-time student, your eligibility clock then starts. So then the second your eligibility clock starts, from that point, you now have 5 years to play your 4 seasons. Now, the 5th year, you're wondering, okay, most people in college go to college for 4 years. That's how you get your bachelor's degree. It's a 4-year degree, and most people in college football play 4 years. Unless you go to the NFL in 3 years because you're really, really good. But we're going to pretend like us walk-ons, we're not in that boat right now, so we're going to talk about the other scenario, which is you have 5 years to play 4 seasons. The second your eligibility clock starts, that first year when you're considered a freshman status, you could elect to take a redshirt season, which means if you play in less than 4 games in that first redshirt season, you could elect and request your redshirt, which ultimately would give you another year to play at the end of those 4 years, which would make up your 5 years out of your 4 seasons. So a lot of people don't do this. Usually people do it if they're a high status athlete and they know they're not going to play their first year and they want to make sure that they can get the most out of it, they'll elect and try and take their red shirt. But for a lot of us walk-ons, it's not going to be a huge deal. There actually is also a thing called a medical red shirt, which I want to touch on, which allows you to, if you have a serious medical condition or an injury, you can also elect for a medical red shirt and get that season back as well. So overall in college football, there's a potential that you could play 6 years, which would mean you took a red shirt season, which you played in less than 4 games, and then you played your other seasons, but then maybe you got hurt one year and you decided to take your medical red shirt that year. That would mean in total, both of those red shirts would not count, and then you'd have those other 4 years to still play. So I actually know a lot of people that have done this. The max amount of time you could ever be in college playing college football is 6 years. There is no age requirement to play college football. There's actually been a few stories of, you'll hear really old people like a 30 or 40-year-old kicker that randomly decided to join college maybe after the military. I actually had a walk-on friend at Ohio State who was 26 or 27 at the time when he was technically a freshman eligibility because he had gotten out of the military, enrolled full-time in Ohio State, and then walked on with us at the tryout. So it's definitely possible in that scenario. And then I also wanted to touch lastly on the way to check and make sure you're eligible with the NCAA. I'm just going to briefly outline it here for you in the quick second. So you're going to go to the NCAA clearinghouse website. You're going to make an account. You're going to submit your ACT and SAT scores, and you're going to apply for what's basically going to be your amateur ticket into college football. And so this is actually going to cost money. I think it's somewhere between maybe $99, but it's going to be outlined once you guys get to the website. This is something that I would recommend doing if you're super unsure about your NCAA requirements and if you're eligible or not. But like I said, the rest of this video should give you guys an idea of if you're going to be eligible or not. And I know there's some crazy nuanced situations out there, but hopefully this casts a wide net and you guys can figure out for yourself based on the information we've given if you're eligible. Most of you, I'm sure, are, especially if you're just out of high school or you're heading to college and you're about to enroll in a university. If you're going to walk on, remember, you just got to take 12 credit hours at that university, and then also not have expended your 5 years to play 4 seasons. And that includes the red shirt. If you're still confused at this point, I would say your situation's probably a little bit more nuanced than most, and I would go actually directly to your school's athletic department, and I would get in touch with anybody pretty much in the athletic department that can help you figure out eligibility. So I would start talking to people who are involved in the NCAA process at the school. You might not be able to get a hold of someone in football, but you'll definitely be able to call up people in the athletic department, athletic services, student athlete services, and figure out who you should talk to at that specific university to figure out if you're eligible.